What starts as a routine stop at a gas station quickly escalates into something far more dangerous. When tensions ignite, lives are changed forever. Stay until the end to uncover the shocking twists in this powerful story. Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done? Barack Obama, the former president of the United States, sat quietly in the back of his limousine as it cruised through the suburban streets. The day was calm, and the familiar hum of the engine was a soothing backdrop to his thoughts. His driver, a seasoned professional, was focused on the road ahead. After a while, the limousine slowed and pulled into a gas station to refuel. The driver got out and began the routine of filling up the tank, leaving Obama a moment of peace. The former president decided to step outside for a breath of fresh air. He stretched his legs and stood to the side, taking in the surroundings. The station was a simple one, with a few cars scattered about and the faint smell of gasoline lingering in the air. Suddenly, the tranquility was broken by the unmistakable roar of motorcycle engines. A group of bikers pulled up to the station, their presence commanding immediate attention. Their leather jackets bore aggressive logos, and their loud chatter and laughter filled the air. At first, they seemed to be minding their own business, parking their motorcycles and walking toward the convenience store. But soon, one of them caught sight of Obama. His expression shifted, and he nudged the others. The bikers quickly gathered, their eyes fixed on the former president. Their voices grew louder, and within moments they approached him. "Look who it is," one of them sneered, his tone dripping with mockery. "The great Barack Obama." The others laughed, their amusement echoing across the station. Obama turned to face them, his posture calm but firm. "What's the matter, Mr. President?" another biker taunted. "Did you get lost on your way to some fancy fundraiser?" Obama remained silent, his eyes meeting theirs without wavering. His calm demeanor seemed to irk them even more. "Tell me," the first biker continued, stepping closer, "how does it feel knowing you never should have been president in the first place? A black man running this country? What a joke." The words hung in the air, heavy with malice. Obama, however, did not flinch. His voice was steady when he finally spoke. "In this country," he said, "everyone has the right to aspire to leadership, no matter the color of their skin. That's what America stands for." His words were met with derisive laughter. One biker crossed his arms, smirking. "Spare us the speech. You're just another mistake in history." Despite their insults, Obama's expression remained composed. His unshakable confidence only fueled their frustration. After a few more taunts, the bikers seemed to grow bored of his lack of reaction. With a chorus of laughs and jeers, they turned back to their motorcycles. "Enjoy your day, Mr. President," one of them called over his shoulder, the words laced with sarcasm. The group roared off, their engines leaving a deafening noise in their wake. Obama watched them leave, his thoughts heavy but his resolve unbroken. He returned to the limousine just as the driver finished refueling. Without mentioning the incident, he stepped back inside, and the journey continued. As the car rolled onto the road, he couldn't help but reflect on the encounter. The hatred and prejudice he had faced were not new to him, but the brazenness of the bikers left a bitter taste. Unbeknownst to Obama, this was only the beginning of the ordeal that awaited him. The tension of the encounter lingered in the air as the limousine moved steadily forward, the former president deep in thought. The limousine glided along the highway, the hum of the engine a steady accompaniment to the thoughts swirling in Barack Obama's mind. The encounter at the gas station replayed in his head, each word and sneer from the bikers sharpening his awareness of the ongoing divisions in the country. He glanced out of the tinted window, observing the landscapes blur past, but his mind was elsewhere. The silence inside the car was broken only by the occasional update from the driver, who mentioned an increase in traffic ahead. Obama leaned back in his seat, his face calm but introspective. His years in politics had taught him to expect resistance and even hatred, but the brazenness of the bikers lingered in his thoughts. It was a reminder of the fragility of progress and how quickly prejudice could rear its head. He considered the state of the nation, where debates over equality and justice continued to dominate headlines. His own experiences, though painful, were not unique in a society still grappling with systemic bias. The driver's voice broke through his reflections as the limousine began to slow. "Looks like we're hitting a bit of a traffic jam, sir," he said. Obama nodded in acknowledgement, not particularly surprised. The congestion on the highway had thickened, reducing the once smooth journey to a crawl. Cars inched forward, their occupants visibly frustrated as they navigated the bottleneck. Obama took the opportunity to scan the surroundings. Families sat in their vehicles, children restless in the back seats, and drivers leaned on their horns in impatience. The frustration in the air was palpable, but the former president's demeanor remained calm. He had dealt with far more chaotic situations in his life. His security detail had informed him earlier of minor threats reported in the area, but he had dismissed them, trusting in the professionalism of his team and the general goodwill of the public. However, as the limousine came to a near standstill, a low, distant rumble caught his attention. The sound was faint at first but grew louder, distinct against the backdrop of honking horns and idling engines. It was the unmistakable roar of motorcycle engines. Obama's instincts sharpened immediately, his earlier encounter flashing through his mind. From the side of the highway, a line of motorcycles appeared. It was the same group of bikers from the gas station, their leather jackets and aggressive demeanor unmistakable. They weaved through the stationary cars with ease, their loud engines drawing attention from everyone stuck in traffic. Drivers looked on in confusion and unease as the bikers made their way closer to the limousine. Obama's driver tensed, his hands gripping the wheel tightly. "Sir, it's them," he said, his voice low but urgent. Obama nodded calmly, signaling for the driver to remain composed. The bikers, now directly behind the limousine, revved their engines in unison, creating a deafening roar. Their mocking laughter and taunts carried over the noise, reaching the passengers in the car. Obama's security detail, following closely in another vehicle, was momentarily trapped by the traffic, unable to maneuver quickly to intervene. The bikers took advantage of the situation, surrounding the limousine. One of them, the apparent leader, approached the driver's side window, grinning maliciously. "We meet again, Mr. President," he called out, his voice dripping with mockery. The driver kept the windows up, his jaw clenched as the bikers continued to jeer. Obama remained silent, his gaze steady as he assessed the situation. The leader of the group leaned closer to the window, his grin widening. "Stuck in traffic like everyone else, huh? Not so special now, are you?" Their laughter erupted again, echoing across the highway. Other drivers, sensing the hostility, began to record the incident on their phones. Obama noticed this and felt a sliver of reassurance. If nothing else, there would be evidence of what was happening. Still, the bikers' confidence was unsettling, and their words grew more hostile. "You don't belong here," shouted one of the bikers, slamming his fist on the roof of the limousine. The sound reverberated through the car. Another biker joined in, hitting the side mirror with his gloved hand, causing it to crack. The group's aggression escalated with each passing second, their taunts turning into physical intimidation. Inside the limousine, Obama maintained his composure, instructing the driver to remain calm and avoid any sudden movements. The security detail, still stuck in traffic, signaled their intent to intervene as soon as they could move. The bikers, emboldened by the lack of immediate resistance, began circling the limousine more aggressively, revving their engines and shouting insults. Obama's resolve remained unshaken. Despite the rising tension, he knew reacting emotionally would only escalate the situation further. The bikers were clearly looking for a reaction, something they could use to justify their actions. But Obama's years of experience had taught him the power of restraint. He sat quietly, his face a mask of calm determination, even as the hostility outside reached a boiling point. As the bikers continued their aggressive posturing, the security detail finally managed to inch closer through the traffic. Their presence seemed to deter the bikers slightly, causing some of them to back off. However, the tension lingered in the air, thick and oppressive. The chapter closed with the limousine finally moving forward, but the encounter had left its mark. The bikers' malice was a chilling reminder of the deep-seated hatred that still existed, a shadow that threatened to undermine the progress the nation had made. The traffic on the highway had slowed to a complete standstill. The honking of impatient drivers mixed with the low grumbling of engines, creating an atmosphere of frustration. In the midst of the chaos, the limousine carrying Barack Obama sat motionless, surrounded by a sea of cars. The earlier encounter with the bikers at the gas station and their subsequent appearance had set everyone on edge, but no one expected what was about to unfold. The same group of bikers reappeared, weaving through the stationary vehicles with ease. Their engines roared like thunder, drawing the attention of every driver stuck in the jam. They moved with purpose, and their leather jackets bore aggressive insignias that seemed to underline their intent. The group quickly encircled the limousine, revving their engines in unison to create a deafening noise. Their leader, a burly man with a scruffy beard, signaled to the others. They smirked and laughed, their faces alight with malice. Obama's driver glanced at the rearview mirror, his face pale but resolute. "Sir, they're here again," he said, his voice tight with tension. Inside the car, Obama remained composed, his eyes fixed ahead. He could sense the impending danger, but chose to maintain his calm. Reacting impulsively could escalate the situation further. The bikers began shouting insults, their voices cutting through the cacophony of the traffic. "You think you're better than us, huh?" one of them yelled. "You're nothing but a fraud." Another slammed his fist against the side of the car, the impact resonating through the cabin. The sound of knuckles meeting metal was sharp and menacing. The leader of the group dismounted his bike and approached the limousine. He carried a baseball bat, which he twirled menacingly in his hand. The smirk on his face widened as he tapped the bat against the car's tinted windows. "Come on, Mr. President," he called out mockingly. "Why don't you step out and join the real Americans?" The other bikers jeered and cheered, their voices a mixture of hatred and mockery. The leader raised the bat and brought it down on the side mirror, shattering it into a spray of glass. Emboldened by the lack of immediate retaliation, another biker took his helmet and smashed it against the rear window, cracking it. The aggressive display sent a ripple of fear through the surrounding drivers, many of whom began recording the incident on their phones. Inside the limousine, Obama's driver tightened his grip on the wheel, glancing nervously at his passenger. "What should we do, sir?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Obama remained calm, his tone steady as he replied, "Stay inside and keep the doors locked. Help is on the way." But the bikers were not finished. Fueled by their hatred and a desire to provoke, they escalated their assault. Another swing of the bat shattered one of the limousine's side windows, sending shards of glass into the cabin. The noise was deafening, and the air filled with the sound of cheers and revving engines. One of the bikers reached through the broken window, attempting to unlock the door, but the driver reacted quickly, activating the central lock. The situation spiraled further out of control when the leader aimed his bat directly at Obama. The former president, seated in the back, braced himself as the bat struck the edge of the window frame. The impact sent a jolt through the car, and the bikers outside erupted in laughter. Emboldened, the leader raised the bat again and swung harder, this time striking Obama on the shoulder through the shattered glass. The force of the blow caused him to slump back in his seat, momentarily losing consciousness. The attack sent shockwaves through the crowd of onlookers. Drivers honked their horns in protest, some shouting at the bikers to stop. A few brave bystanders even attempted to approach the scene, but the bikers' aggressive posturing kept them at bay. The security detail, trapped a few cars behind, worked frantically to push through the traffic. Their sirens wailed, but the jammed road prevented them from reaching the limousine in time. Sensing the growing attention and the imminent arrival of law enforcement, the bikers decided to flee. They revved their engines and sped off, leaving behind a scene of chaos and destruction. The limousine, its windows shattered and body dented, stood as a grim testament to the violence that had just occurred. Inside, the driver quickly assessed Obama's condition, relieved to find him alive but visibly shaken. As the security team finally arrived, they surrounded the vehicle and began coordinating the next steps. Emergency services were called, and within minutes, paramedics were at the scene, tending to Obama's injuries. Though conscious again, he appeared disoriented but determined to downplay the severity of his condition. "I'm fine," he insisted, his voice calm despite the circumstances. The attack had left its mark, not just physically, but emotionally. As the damaged limousine was escorted away, the videos recorded by bystanders began circulating on social media. The images of a former president under assault ignited outrage across the nation. The chapter ended with a mixture of shock, anger, and a growing resolve among the public to hold the perpetrators accountable. The attack was more than just an act of violence. It was a chilling reminder of the prejudice and hatred that still lingered in the shadows of society. The aftermath of the attack on Barack Obama sent shockwaves across the nation. The damaged limousine was escorted to a secure location by his security detail, and emergency medical teams worked quickly to ensure the former president's well-being. Though visibly shaken and nursing a bruised shoulder from the blow he had sustained, Obama remained stoic. His calm and composed demeanor belied the gravity of the incident, which was now making headlines around the world. As the footage captured by bystanders began circulating on social media, the public outcry grew louder. Videos showed the bikers smashing the limousine's windows, the leader's bat striking Obama, and the gang's subsequent escape. Hashtags condemning the attack and demanding justice trended globally. The footage served as irrefutable evidence of the brazen violence and hate-fueled aggression. Law enforcement agencies immediately launched a full-scale investigation. Officers combed through the videos, enhancing and analyzing every frame to identify the assailants. Witnesses from the traffic jam, many of whom had recorded the incident on their phones, came forward with testimonies. Each account painted the same picture: a coordinated and deliberate assault driven by hatred and prejudice. Detective Laura Harris, assigned to lead the investigation, addressed the media during a press conference. This was an unprovoked and unacceptable act of violence against one of our nation's most respected leaders, she stated firmly. We are utilizing every resource available to ensure those responsible are brought to justice. Back at the hospital, Obama underwent a thorough medical examination. The injuries were not life-threatening, but the emotional weight of the event was clear. Members of his family, along with close friends and colleagues, gathered to support him. Despite their visible concern, Obama reassured them with his characteristic resilience. "This isn't about me," he said. "It's about addressing the deeper issues that allowed this to happen." Meanwhile, police identified key members of the biker gang through the video evidence and tips from the public. The leader, known by the street name Grizz, was a notorious figure in the area, with a history of inciting violence and promoting extremist ideologies. His associates were similarly infamous for their involvement in hate crimes and other illegal activities. A nationwide manhunt was launched. Officers raided several locations linked to the gang, seizing weapons, motorcycles, and incriminating documents. Each raid brought the authorities closer to apprehending the perpetrators. Public support for the investigation was overwhelming, with citizens providing leads and information. The outrage transcended political affiliations, uniting people in their demand for accountability. The media coverage of the attack intensified. News anchors highlighted the symbolic nature of the incident, calling it a direct assault on the values of equality and democracy. Analysts debated the broader implications of such acts of hatred, while civil rights leaders called for renewed efforts to combat systemic prejudice. Obama, now discharged from the hospital, addressed the nation from a secure location. His speech was calm but powerful, resonating with millions. What happened was a stark reminder of the work we still need to do as a society, he began. Hate and violence have no place in America. We must come together, not just to hold those responsible accountable, but to address the roots of such hatred. His words were met with widespread praise. Social media lit up with messages of support, and rallies were organized across the country to condemn hate crimes. The attack on Obama became a rallying cry for unity and change, reigniting discussions about the importance of diversity and respect. The investigation reached a turning point when law enforcement located Grizz and his gang hiding in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The operation to apprehend them was swift and precise. Officers surrounded the building using tear gas and tactical maneuvers to ensure the bikers had no chance to escape. After a tense standoff, Grizz and his associates were taken into custody. The arrest was a moment of triumph for law enforcement and the public. News of the capture spread quickly, eliciting relief and celebration. The bikers were charged with multiple offenses, including assault, destruction of property, and hate crimes. Prosecutors vowed to seek the maximum penalties, emphasizing the need to send a strong message against such acts. As the chapter drew to a close, the focus shifted from the immediate aftermath of the attack to the broader lessons it underscored. The country watched as the judicial process began, with many seeing it as an opportunity to confront the persistent issues of hatred and prejudice. Though the scars of the incident remained, Obama's resilience and the public's response served as a testament to the enduring spirit of unity and justice. The arrests of Grizz and his gang marked the beginning of an intensive legal process. The police, armed with the overwhelming evidence from videos, Witness testimonies and materials seized during the raids presented a solid case to the district attorney. The media continued to follow every detail, keeping the nation's attention fixed on the trial that promised to be a landmark case in addressing hate-motivated violence. In the days following the arrests, the courtroom became a focal point for public sentiment. Crowds gathered outside, carrying signs demanding justice and chanting slogans against hate crimes. Civil rights organizations organized peaceful demonstrations, emphasizing the need for systemic change. The atmosphere was charged, with the case serving as a flashpoint for broader discussions about racism and equality in the United States. Inside the courtroom, the trial unfolded with intense scrutiny. The prosecution opened with a powerful statement, outlining the premeditated nature of the attack and its clear basis in racial hatred. They detailed the events leading up to the assault, presenting video footage that showed the bikers' actions and their hateful rhetoric. The recordings captured the gang's deliberate targeting of Obama, their use of slurs, and the violent escalation that followed. Witnesses were called to the stand, including drivers who had been stuck in the traffic jam during the attack. Their testimonies painted a vivid picture of the chaos and terror that unfolded. Many described the bikers as aggressive and coordinated, with no provocation for their actions other than their hostility toward Obama. One witness, a young woman who had recorded the entire incident on her phone, became a key figure in the trial. Her footage, clear and damning, was played in court, leaving no doubt about the gang's culpability. The defense, however, attempted to shift the narrative. They argued that the bikers' actions were a spontaneous outburst fueled by frustration rather than a premeditated hate crime. They claimed that the gang had not intended to harm Obama personally, and that the violence was an unfortunate escalation of emotions. Grizz's lawyer tried to paint him as a misunderstood figure, arguing that his troubled background and difficult upbringing influenced his behavior. The prosecution countered these arguments decisively. They brought in experts who analyzed the gang's history and ideology, linking them to a pattern of racially motivated incidents. Social media posts and text messages from the bikers revealed a deep-seated hatred for minorities, with explicit threats directed toward public figures, including Obama. These findings dismantled the defense's claims and highlighted the gang's intent. As the trial progressed, the nation watched closely. The public discourse expanded beyond the courtroom, with news outlets hosting panels and debates on the root causes of hate crimes. Activists and community leaders used the moment to advocate for stronger legislation and education programs to combat prejudice. The attack on Obama became a symbol of the persistent challenges faced by marginalized communities and the need for collective action. Obama himself was called to testify, a moment that carried immense weight. Walking into the courtroom, he was greeted by a standing ovation from the audience. His testimony was measured and eloquent, reflecting his lifelong commitment to justice and equality. He recounted the events of that day with clarity, emphasizing the importance of addressing not just the individuals responsible, but also the societal issues that enabled such hatred to thrive. "I don't seek retribution," Obama said, his voice firm but calm. "What I hope for is accountability, not just for these individuals, but for a system that allows hatred to persist. We must learn from this and ensure that no one, regardless of their race, background, or beliefs, has to endure what I did." His words resonated deeply, both within the courtroom and across the nation. They served as a reminder of the broader stakes at play, transforming the trial from a case about an individual attack to a call for societal reflection and reform. The trial reached its climax as the jury deliberated the charges. The prosecution had sought convictions on multiple counts, including assault, destruction of property, and hate crimes. The defense had fought to reduce the severity of the charges, but the evidence presented left little room for doubt. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Grizz and his gang were found guilty on all major charges. The announcement was met with cheers outside the courthouse, where supporters of justice had been waiting anxiously. The judge, recognizing the gravity of the case, handed down severe sentences, emphasizing the need to set a precedent against hate-driven violence. The chapter closed with a sense of resolution and triumph. While the convictions brought justice to the immediate situation, the trial's broader impact continued to ripple through society. Conversations about racism, accountability, and the importance of standing against hatred gained renewed momentum. Obama's resilience and the public's unwavering support served as a powerful testament to the strength of unity in the face of division. The sentencing of Grizz and his gang marked a pivotal moment in the case and the broader societal discourse it had ignited. The judge's decision to impose severe penalties on the bikers sent a clear message. Acts of hatred and violence would not be tolerated. Grizz received a lengthy prison term, as did his closest accomplices, while others in the gang faced significant sentences for their roles in the attack. The courtroom erupted in applause from the public gallery as the sentences were announced, signaling a sense of justice achieved. In the days following the sentencing, the media continued to amplify the story. Commentators and activists praised the verdict as a victory for accountability, but they also stressed that it was only the beginning. Across the country, rallies and events were organized to honor Barack Obama's resilience and to raise awareness about the persistence of hate crimes. Civil rights groups used the momentum to push for stronger legislative measures to combat systemic racism and prevent similar incidents in the future. Obama, ever the statesman, addressed the public once again, this time from a stage in front of a large crowd gathered in Washington, D.C. The atmosphere was electric, filled with people of all backgrounds united by a shared commitment to justice and equality. Obama stood before them, his presence as commanding as ever, his voice steady and firm. "We have seen justice served in a courtroom," he began, "but our work does not end there. Justice is not just about holding individuals accountable, it is about changing the systems and mindsets that allow hatred to take root and flourish. This moment is a call to action for all of us." His words resonated deeply with the audience. He spoke about the importance of education in dismantling prejudice, the need for community programs to foster understanding, and the role of leadership in setting an example of inclusivity. He also emphasized the power of unity, recounting how people from all walks of life had come together in the wake of the attack to stand against hate. As he concluded his speech, the crowd erupted into cheers and applause, their energy a reflection of the hope and determination his words had inspired. The event was broadcast live, reaching millions across the globe. Social media platforms lit up with messages of support, solidarity, and calls to continue the fight against hate. Meanwhile, the story of the attack and its aftermath began to take on a life of its own. Filmmakers and writers expressed interest in documenting the events, seeing it as an opportunity to shed light on the broader issues of racism and resilience. Educational institutions incorporated the case into their discussions on civil rights, using it as a modern-day example of the challenges and triumphs in the struggle for equality. The bikers, now behind bars, face the reality of their actions. For many, the severity of their sentences served as a stark reminder of the consequences of hatred. Grizz, the leader, initially remained defiant, refusing to show remorse. But as weeks turned into months, reports emerged that he had begun to engage with prison programs aimed at addressing biases and promoting rehabilitation. Whether his change of heart was genuine or simply a response to his circumstances remained to be seen. For Obama, the incident became another chapter in his lifelong journey as an advocate for justice and equality. Despite the physical and emotional toll of the attack, he continued to meet with community leaders, policymakers, and everyday citizens to discuss ways to move forward. His message remained consistent. The path to a more inclusive and just society required perseverance, empathy, and a collective commitment to stand against hatred. As the chapter came to a close, the nation reflected on the impact of the events. The attack, though deeply troubling, had sparked a wave of awareness and action. It highlighted the resilience of a leader who had faced hatred with dignity and the power of a united community to demand and achieve justice. The scars left by the incident served as a reminder of the work still to be done, but they also symbolized the strength that could be found in overcoming adversity together. The aftermath of the trial and sentencing left a profound impact on the nation. The attack on Barack Obama, its perpetrator's conviction, and the resulting public outcry became a turning point in the ongoing struggle for justice and equality. Across the country, people reflected on the deeper societal issues the incident had exposed, and many took it as a call to action. Barack Obama, now fully recovered, remained at the forefront of the dialogue. His calm and measured response to the attack had elevated him further in the eyes of the public, solidifying his reputation as a symbol of resilience and moral leadership. Invitations to speak at events, universities, and forums flooded his office. Yet, Obama chose to approach these opportunities with purpose, focusing on fostering understanding and addressing the root causes of hatred and violence. One of his first public appearances after the sentencing was at a community center in Chicago, where he spoke to a diverse group of young people. He shared his perspective on the attack, not as an isolated act of hatred, but as part of a larger challenge facing society. He encouraged the audience to take an active role in shaping a better future, emphasizing the importance of education, empathy, and standing up against injustice. "This is not just my story," Obama said to the attentive crowd. "This is a story about all of us. It's about what we choose to tolerate, what we choose to stand against, and how we treat one another. The power to change the world doesn't lie in the hands of a few leaders. It lies in the choices each of us makes every day." His words resonated deeply, sparking discussions and inspiring many to take action. Community groups began organizing initiatives to address prejudice and promote dialogue among diverse populations. Schools incorporated programs aimed at teaching tolerance and inclusivity. Local governments passed resolutions condemning hate crimes, pledging to take stronger actions against discrimination. Meanwhile, the bikers who had orchestrated the attack remained behind bars. News outlets occasionally reported on their time in prison, where some of them had enrolled in rehabilitation programs designed to challenge their deeply ingrained biases. Grizz, the leader of the gang, was said to have shown signs of remorse, though skeptics questioned his sincerity. Still, the very existence of these programs and the willingness of the convicted to participate highlighted the potential for change, even in the most hardened individuals. Obama's efforts extended beyond speeches and public appearances. He worked closely with legislators to propose new policies aimed at combating hate crimes and improving community policing. His advocacy played a significant role in the introduction of a bipartisan bill that sought to increase funding for education on civil rights and establish harsher penalties for racially motivated violence. The bill, inspired in part by the public response to the attack, gained widespread support and was eventually passed into law. As time went on, the incident became a pivotal moment in the broader civil rights movement. Documentaries, books, and articles chronicled the events, using them to explore the complexities of modern-day racism and the power of collective action. Obama's role in turning a moment of pain into an opportunity for growth and unity was widely praised, and his example inspired many others to speak out against prejudice in their own communities. The chapter concluded with a sense of hope and progress. The scars from the attack remained, both literal and figurative, but they served as reminders of the strength that could emerge from adversity. Obama's message of unity and resilience had sparked a movement, proving that even in the face of hatred, the values of equality and justice could prevail. The nation, though still grappling with its challenges, moved forward with a renewed sense of purpose and determination, united in its commitment to creating a better future for all. The power of resilience and unity has once again proven stronger than hate. What are your thoughts on this story? Share your opinions in the comments and let us know how you would have reacted. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.